So this is the first video that I'm doing where I have a guest, and my guest is Eve. Hi, Eve.
Howdy. Is it howdy too early?
And we're gonna just dive straight in. What cancer were you diagnosed with?
So I've got the same cancer as you, but the opposite. Did you have Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma?
I had... Oh, I just forgot. Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah, so I had non-Hodgkin's. I'm bad at remembering that, but I had lymphoma.
Yeah. We both had lymphoma, but I had Hodgkin's and you had non-Hodgkin's.
That's it.
Do you remember the specific type?
Anaplastic large T-cell lymphoma CD30+. I remember that part.
Okay, and what does that mean? Do you remember what it means?
Not particularly. I remember that it means my lymph nodes got very swollen and very sick. I had quite a rare cancer, actually, at least rare for my age. I was 19 when I was diagnosed and female, whereas for the cancer that I had, the most common type of person to get it is men over 75. So at least that's what they kept telling me. That's why it was so bizarre. I had a couple of different nurses and doctors keep questioning, like, that's so bizarre. I can't really give you much more information on your cancer, but this is what I can tell you. And a lot of it was off Google searching for them because they hadn't experienced it in someone my age or anything like that before.
That's really, yeah. Did you ever come across anyone else who had the same cancer?
No,
so far?
I think whenever we did like the canteen organisation things, and there was a bunch of us that had lymphoma because it's quite common for people our age to have it, I was the only one with this kind. So everyone was... Yeah.
So I remember you referring it before as, I have the old man's lymphoma.
That's it. That's me, old man lymphoma.
Old man lymphoma. That's the other way to just call non-Hodgkin's.
Yeah, so old man.
And so what's the story behind your diagnosis? How did you find out? What symptoms did you have?
For me, I was very sick. I was sick for quite a few months. I wasn't getting out of bed. Doctors just diagnosed me with depression. They believed that, I just need to get out more. I just need to push through it. So they put me on anti-anxiety medication, and that just made me feel way worse. I think, yes, I was anxious and I was depressed, but the cause and the diagnosis were different. I was depressed because I was sick, not sick because I was depressed. There were a couple of days that I wasn't really getting out of bed, and then I started going to the doctor, and I started recognizing a lump on the left side of my neck here. And it just kept getting larger. By the end of it, it was about the size of a golf ball on my neck. I stopped driving because I couldn't turn my neck far enough, so I couldn't check any blind spots. They told me I had the flu. My lips were swollen because I was sick. I had an ultrasound. The face of the person giving me the ultrasound was like, what the heck is this? They got a second opinion, and the second opinion was, they're just swollen. I went through 3 different doctors going, there's something more wrong with me, until one of them actually was like, this is so bizarre. He actually touched it and was feeling around. It's like, this isn't moving. We're giving you a biopsy. That Wednesday, I had a biopsy. The following, early that following week, I got back, was told I need to see him right away. It looks like it's cancer. That weekend, I was in surgery. 2 weeks from then, I had chemotherapy.
Yeah, wow. It all happens so quickly.
It does.
Once they actually find out what it is.
Yeah, as soon as they were like, oh dear, the C word,
yeah.
better get going.
Yeah. And was the lump hard? Just because I never had any protruding lumps.
It was quite firm. I kept taking photos of it going, like every time a doctor would turn me away, I'd take a photo of it and I'd do this, just touching around it. I had a necklace and it wouldn't sit down. It used to just pop up here. Mm-hmm. And so it would just sit like this. It was quite firm and it wouldn't move. I've now got scar tissue there, and because scar tissue is quite firm and feels a little bit like scar tissue, it makes me quite nervous. Yeah, it does, because sometimes when I feel that and go, but that's just how it is now because of the scar tissue.
So what cancer treatment did you receive once
I
you started?
had 6 months, well, just under 6 months, I was pretty lucky, of chemotherapy. It was every Tuesday, every 3rd week. So I'd be sick for 2 weeks, feel okay for a week, and then back to it.
And do you remember what the name of the chemotherapy
Honestly,
was?
I wasn't too certain. I was someone, I know a lot of people take it on differently. I believe you were someone that asked questions and wanted to know all about it. I was someone, I just didn't want to know anything. I just knew it would make me sick and I didn't want to know. I was someone that was like, put out my arm and say, just put it in me. It'll make me better. I've got no choice.
Yeah. No.
So I remember it was very bright red, about the colour of a red Powerade, so I couldn't touch them for a couple of months. It wasn't fun.
And what was the main side effects that you had from that treatment?
Well, I lost my hair very quickly. It was 2 weeks after my first treatment that it started falling out in clumps. I was vomiting a lot. My first cycle, I had the hiccups, and I was like, this is so weird. And turns out that's a phrase, chemo hiccups.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, and they're very painful. They're unpleasant.
They sound nice.
They said you either get vomiting or you get the hiccups. And I had the hiccups the first time. Then from the second onwards, I was vomiting quite a lot. A lot of people lose weight when they're going through it because they can't eat and they don't feel well. I gained a lot of weight. I gained about 16 kilos throughout my treatment, somewhere between 15 and 20 kilos odd. Just because one moment I'd eat, the next moment I couldn't eat for about 3 days. I was on very harsh steroids that would make me feel quite ill. I found myself...
That's a common thing with steroids, isn't it?
Yeah, I very much, and it was very much all in my stomach in places. I've always been someone that holds a lot of my weight down the bottom part of me, my hips and my bum and my thighs. Throughout my treatment, I held it all in my stomach. My legs felt like jelly. I apparently had it quite bad in terms of symptoms. After my third treatment, they started giving me drugs that would make me feel a little bit not all there, just to try and get me through those first 2 days of chemo. Just because with the vomiting and that, it was better for me to be kind of out of it than be in reality. One that I almost forgot there too, I had some nerve damage in my hands and my feet. I feel like I've lost a lot of sensation in a lot of myself. My fingertips would feel like there was someone grabbing hold of them and just holding it really tight. But instead of that thumping blood pressure, it just felt like someone was needles across from it. Just in my fingertips and my toes, mostly in the end too, so like my pinky and my ring finger, and the same with my toes, like the end too.
I was wondering, did you ever have, like, I don't know how to really describe it, but when I would go through chemo and a few days after, I would often just feel like I had an overload of sensory stimulation and I had to be in a very dark room with no stimulation at all, with no, like, sound, music. I couldn't even deal with someone sitting on my bed or even being outside of my door. If I knew that there was someone there for some reason, that would make me feel really overwhelmed, and I felt this kind of pain that's very hard to describe because it's not really pain, but it is. And I would have like these periods of having to just exist in my room. And there were some periods where I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't listen to a podcast. I had to just like lay on a pillow in my bed with no sound, and I had to like ask everyone in the house to be quiet and just wait hours and hours being in my mind, just waiting.
Just kind of push through it.
Because I couldn't do, like, I just, any kind of, sound or even just movement, my body was like, no, I can't handle it.
Yeah,
Stop it.
Much. It's too much. Yeah. No, I 100% had that. My father and I have always been quite playful. Like, we joke around, and he kind of just did that to me one time, a few days after chemo, just on my thigh, just kind of like a playful push.
Yeah.
And I just was like stunted, like that hurt so much. I just felt it was just that one push over my senses to just take me over the edge. When I got home from treatment, I'd have, if I felt well enough still to eat, I'd have something very bland and go straight to bed. Curtains closed, music off, door shut. When I started feeling like I was vomiting or anything like that, I'd just send my sister or my sister-in-law a text message saying, I need help. And as soon as they finished helping me, I needed them out. I needed space again. I'd be a wreck. I just felt like I had just been thrown out of a plane, stuck on a raft, and just sitting in a rough ocean, just lying on that bed, and anything real happening to me would push me over that edge, and I just felt like I was sinking.
Yeah. No, I really I remember how awful those feelings were. And it's very hard to describe because it is pain, but it's not pain. But it very much is. It's like your body's just screaming, no, go away. I can't handle any of it. But it's not pain in the way that you like, I don't know, cut yourself or whatever.
Hurts.
Yeah, or a punch. It's a very odd pain, but it is very real and it's very just all-consuming.
I finished my chemotherapy during April. And
2014?
That's
2015?
15, I think. 2015.
2015. That makes sense because I got diagnosed in 2015, and when we met, it was like August or September.
Yeah, and
so
I just started, finished.
And you had finished only a few months before.
Yeah, I just finished. And there are times that I think of it and go, if I can go through and endure chemotherapy, I can do almost anything. Realistically, I can't, but like I feel like I can.
Like sometimes it can be motivating to think about it.
And like I had to I was going through some migraines and I had to go through blood tests and scans and stuff because of migraines, and that had nothing to do with my cancer, and this was only within the last year. But to be able to think, and it was kind of a little bit painful in some of these things, and I thought back to myself, hey, if I can get through that, let's put this in perspective. It's not as shit as chemo. A+. It's nice to have those little issues again, but it's nice to be able to put them in perspective as well. Like, it's nice to have that perspective. It's nice to be able to go, hey, this isn't a big issue in the scheme of things. And like, I've got a really great relationship with my hairdresser for one thing. Like, I can just go, come at me. I've had worse haircuts. And like, that's an ongoing joke. Like, I've had worse haircuts.
That's so good.
Yeah, so like, it's not bad. Like, it's always good to be able to have it. And it's good to be able to look back and like have a positive outlook. And the more distance there is from your last chemo, it feels more and more surreal in a lot of ways, but it's nice to be able to distance yourself at times, because especially for myself, someone that has struggled with depression ongoing before, during and after cancer, to be able to put a different lens on things, to be able to look at things with more positivity, and to be able to get that part of me behind. And at times, like, I don't recommend bottling up your feelings and pretending it never happens, but there are times when doing that and just getting it out of your head, getting it out of your mind, taking it away, and think about yourself as now, yourself as who you are at this moment, that's really empowering, that's really positive.
So thanks so much for coming along and talking to me about all these different topics. It's been really, really nice to have someone else in the video to be able to talk about things, especially just because you've had a very different experience in a lot of different ways. Like, we have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of differences. Yeah. So I think it's really good to talk about them. So that way, you know, people who are watching can learn about how cancer for young people can just be so different. And especially when it comes to different types of cancers as well as treatments. Yeah. So, yeah. Bye.